What's up? I
Hello.
guess people are saying this is history in the making. I assume. Maybe, yes. What's up, everybody? Give it a couple moments, let people come in here.
Yeah, I'm gonna check out the chat. I'm just gonna put this on mute so I can see
Okay.
the. Oh, I can see the chat here. Right. Oh,
Yeah, what's up? What's up, Red Hood? What's up, Becky?
Reddit's here. Hey, what's up, Reddit?
Yeah, he came in here earlier, made one long ass sentence.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah. I see that's going on. Comment section.
yeah, just give it a
Yeah.
couple minutes. Thank everybody for viewing last night's interview with Jesus. He's got pretty good feedback.
Oh, yeah. I saw parts of it. I gotta kind of rewatch the whole thing.
Yeah, he did pretty good. He's
Yeah.
definitely got some love.
Slowly. It's I'll let my Discord know. Discord.
What's going on, Elijah?
No, I just let my Discord know. I'm
Oh, you
live.
liking Discord now? Okay, I didn't even have
Just bring it.
Discord.
Yeah, just bring people in. Yeah, oh, yeah. I'll If Locksmith doesn't hear, he'll link it. I just forget the link. I forget how to do it. I'm just like very new to Discord.
Gotcha. I'm barely on
Oh, yeah.
myself, but
Oh.
that's cool that you got
Oh,
one.
Oh, someone actually already linked it. Never mind. Yeah, we're good.
So you working or just?
Yeah, I do DoorDash. You know DoorDash delivery?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, it's happening. Believe it or not, before your eyes.
Is there a bipolar around for ducking phones? But yeah,
Why
no,
are
I
you
mean
on
honestly,
Mars?
what's up?
Why are you on Mars? That's what I want
I
to know.
don't know. I just like found myself on Mars one day. Not sure why. Not sure what happened.
I don't know.
Yeah, there's
So
Ryan. There's PP Ryans everywhere. We have
I
like
know you
intergalactic.
got an army, bro.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Crystal Roaches too. I mean, I think you gotta recruit yours too. You could
Uh,
have potential.
I'm good with mine for right now.
Yeah, now trust me, there's a lot of potential in it. Trust me.
A lot of potential. I'll let you have them.
Could be a general.
I could be a general.
Yep.
So what's going on with you, man?
Um, yeah, other than the phone difficulties I had, just kind of yeah, I kind of work like, second shift kind of stuff, delivery up until like the end of the day. Yeah, pretty much like work up until like second shift until like really late, graveyard shift kind of stuff. Yeah.
So what's the craziest thing that's happened to you while doing DoorDash? Do you get like crazy people that try to stiff you and
Nah, I mean more like I was an Uber driver and there was a lot of crazy stuff. Um, Actually I don't know if certain things I can't say happened. But yeah, you get like one time I got this person that just totally like freaked out. Had me like an Uber. Like they're actually good in the beginning or whatever. But then there's like I think this like lady or whatever, she like freaked out with like her daughter there in the car. Um it was like in Western Mass. And it was like a horrible experience, right? And then like, I because like it was a daughter or whatever, I wanted to make sure she, got everyone got to their destination. I was like, I'm not gonna kick another person out that wasn't affected by it.
mm,
So, but what crazy thing is I started Lyft like a year later, and then I pull up to the place next like a year later, not knowing it's that person, and I'm like something looks familiar about it, and it was that person, and I couldn't tell if it was that person because she was like smoking a cigarette, and then like the second like I started pulling away, she started freaking out. I was like that's definitely the person. So it's like there's so much like
did she
stuff you have to
remember
deal with this.
you?
Yeah, yeah. And like freaked out or whatever. I was like, hey, get the hell out of here. Yeah, you get like all kinds of people. All kinds
A
of
lot of
people.
kinds of drugs and stuff like that. I'm sure you've got a lot of stories of people that are if
Yeah.
you drive late at night.
Yeah. The craziest thing is I was an Uber driver for like a year and a half, 2 years. Never had someone throw up in my car. That was the only thing I can say it never happened. Yeah, I kind of just do delivery now. Everyone has like a throw up story in their car, but I don't, thankfully.
Yeah, I didn't have a car for some time, and I had to ride with Lyft and Uber, and they would tell me stuff of stories of people throwing up in their back seat and stuff like that, and they had to get a cleaning service to clean it up and stuff like that. That's no,
Yeah,
something I can handle.
yeah, yeah. You would type in like a cleaning fee and everything. You would submit a cleaning fee. You would take like as much pictures as you can to make it look bad or whatever. Then you would get reimbursed. I never did it before, but I don't know.
So is that like your side hustling when you're not trying to get a cash or anything?
Pretty much, you know. Yeah, pretty much.
So
Also,
what makes
I'm like I'm a web developer. Like I'm a freelance web developer. I create like websites for small businesses. But yeah, I was trying to like maybe consider making like certain predator catcher websites for predator catchers. But yeah, get back into it.
so you were doing that beforehand, creating
No,
websites
both.
and whatnot?
Like both, pretty much. Like
Okay.
yeah.
So what was your background, your childhood like growing up?
Um, just kind of I don't know. I was born and raised in Massachusetts. Stayed there. Went through the ropes, school and everything. Nothing really too interesting. Um, you know, yeah, nothing really remarkable to say about that.
So you wasn't into sports or anything. You were more into computers and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, actually, I'm like a total like I don't get anything about sports at all. Like I don't even know like I didn't even know like even that the World Series was like a series of games or whatever. I thought it was like one day. I just have no idea about that stuff at all.
Yeah,
Follow it.
it's a
I
series
don't get
like a
anything
best
it
of
stands
seven
for.
series. So you're not a big Patriots fan or Celtics fan or anything like that.
I wouldn't even know if they were playing. Like, yeah, I don't know now.
So,
Once I saw,
so what do you
I mean,
do
in
to pass
general.
time?
Sorry, I do pack what?
What do you do to pass time?
Pass up.
Pass time, like when
Oh,
you're
pass
not.
time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I honestly, like, I really, like, I don't know. I really kind of am about like the predator catcher thing, where like I even like watch like a lot of predator catcher videos and everything. I'm just kind of like, for me, there's not much of like a line between like I wouldn't consider it work or whatever predator catching, you know, but like it's like yeah, just kind of yeah, kind of just focus a lot on that like as far as an interest, and like what can be done, um, you know, and yeah, I don't even know what I do, shit, but yeah, pretty much like yeah, pretty much like that, I guess.
According to Red Hood, he says you're so boring. That's what
I
he
am
said.
boring. I am boring. That's the thing. I don't know. You know, people like do have these things like play video games. Last time I touched like a video game was like Nintendo 64, probably 10 years ago. So like I don't know. The new things, the new stuff, it's like too complicated. Like
That's how
too
I
much going
was.
on.
I grew up on the 64 or the Nintendo and then Super Nintendo, playing Mario Kart and stuff like that. I don't get too much with the new games, like the Call of Duty and stuff like that. I couldn't even know how to do it.
Yeah, yeah. It says a person says PP Ryan came out of the womb door dashing. Just reading the comments here.
Yes, Red Hood
Yep.
is regretting coming in here.
Yeah, I got a point as a door dasher right when at birth before DoorDash, 1994.
So, do you ever get hungry, try to eat their food, or want to
No,
eat
I
their
always
food?
eat. Nah, I always eat before, pretty much. That's like my rule, so that doesn't happen. I always put it like it's actually like I put it like in a vault in the trunk or whatever. So it's pretty much like has a smell. Then I open the vault and then take the food out. So it's pretty much just like a package. Yep.
Has anybody ever accused you of eating their food?
No, one time Uber Eats though, like, cause I was kind of like a rough driver or whatever. They thought it was like yeah, they thought it was like tampered with or whatever because as I'm driving, was kind of a rough driver. I had to work on that. So it's like the way the food would kind of the way like the package would kind of be a little broken, whatever. When I was like driving through the city or whatever, trying to get to the passenger. Um, you know, because actually the thing is like Uber, I'm not saying like Uber, but like the DoorDash people, like they put, I mean, not the Door. Okay, I want to say I want to like target a company, but like I'm saying in general, that industry, it's like very fast paced, and like they literally expect you to like almost interact with like customers and everything, and like take orders, whatever, as you're driving. So it's just kind of like it's almost like an intense video game. So it's like so one time like there was like some reason I think in Western Mass, some reason there's speed bumps where they're at 30 miles an hour. So sometimes that would be an issue where I wouldn't expect a speed bump, and then it kind of looked like it was tampered with. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I'm very against, you know, any kind of, yeah, it's like I'm very like germophobic, so I don't want to do anything like that.
So you're one of those you have to disinfect everything before you do get in your car like 7 or 8 times.
Yeah. Oh, is that the Colorado Pit Patrol?
I don't know, but shout out to them.
Yo, I watch Colorado Pit Patrol. I think it is very good work.
What
Yeah.
made what made you get into the community?
Um, yeah, trying to remember. Um, yeah, well, yeah, so I was watching Predator Catcher videos, right? And one day, and then I kind of like fell through the monitor, and then I went through like a long portal, and I fell into the weird part of YouTube, and then yeah, then I was just like, in the videos, whatever. No, but yeah, so yeah, I don't think what happened was I just like wanted to go on a catch, almost like at a bucket list kind of thing, and then I met up with Jay at a hotel because he was like next town over, like 10 minutes away from where I live.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, and that's when like I met up with them. Then I'm an Uber driver, so I said like I'll be like designated Uber driver for predator catching. So yeah, so then kind of like I remember I think I drove into the detective once or whatever. Um, and then Alex came up north, and yeah, he came up north, and that's when I did my first catch. So with Alex,
So that was your
and
first catch, the one they did at the
yeah,
when
it's a
you
serious issue.
were talking to the
Serious issue.
kids and stuff like that? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was actually crazy thing is like, yeah, there was like it was at Alex and PP Mass, and it was right after the EDP thing. So they're at the height of their thing, and that was the first
Hmm.
catch. So yeah, so that was very cool. But yeah, um, and yeah, so then uh, started like kind of work with them on catches, decoying, whatever. The very second one was the hotel catch. That was in actually my home state, no, home state, city, Marlboro. Um, and then yeah, then the third one, we like actually the next day, me and Jay, we like rented a hotel in Connecticut. We just staked out the hotel and got mad predators, and then we got the flight attendant catch. We got the Springfield catch. Oh no, well the people would know it as like it would say something about like predator calls us goons. Um, you know, and then the fifth one was actually a catch. It didn't leak or what. I didn't really. It didn't get released for some reason, but it was actually a situation where the predator actually charged at us. Like I started like following him too, and then he like kind of did something where he said something like, you know, you think you're funny, boy, or whatever. And then he turned around and he like bolted in Jay's direction, and then
Yeah.
and then yeah, that was on the way back, and then then on the way back, I started decoying and I started talking to Jamie, the predator. Where I think you saw. I don't know if you saw it. It said uh, yeah, predator brings drugs for minor. I saw that
Hmm.
one. But yeah, that was where the guy just like ran, like away, pretty much.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and yeah, there was a six catch I was on, and yeah, so pretty much yeah, so that's like kind of how I got started with it. Kind of working with PP Mass. then we kind of had like, falling out a little bit. And then, I kind of started NVCAP with a person in my county, the Berkshires. Um, and, it's like Berkshire County is like at the border of Massachusetts and New York, upstate New York. So, yeah, then, the first catch, it was a fail. It was like really quick. But like I was in decoy mode or whatever. Then I was kind of interacting with the predator like very quickly. He didn't even come out of his car, so it didn't work out. We couldn't charge him or anything. Then the second one was a 3.5 hour catch. I don't know if you saw that one, where it's like negative doubt.
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think I did.
Um,
It's probably if I did, I forgot about it.
yeah, so it's kind of like it's a little negative doubt. But it was the catch as like it was cut down to 3.5 hours. The
Hmm.
catch. So literally, we started interviewing this guy, kind of on the scene, um, and yeah, so we started interviewing him like where we were interviewing him. He wanted to meet in front of like a hardware store, and then um, and then uh, we had talked for like a half hour there. Then he wanted us to talk to him in his yard because he had yard work to do. Like, because all I do when I explain, I don't say like, oh, we're gonna call the cops. What I do say is, you know, these are our concerns, and we're obligated. I use the word obligated to, report to law enforcement if nothing is mediated or no honest explanation is reached. That's pretty much
Hmm.
we are. It's like if you see something that is a potential danger, let's say as in your work as a like let's say as an employee, you see like another employee like maybe do something dangerous or whatever, or something you have to report a danger. You're kind of obligated. Or another way I think of it is, let's say it's like a hit and run, where maybe you see a hit and run in front of you, maybe you're the person like gets like hit and run or whatever. You really kind of have like almost like a moral obligation at least to report it, because you don't know if that person's like a robber, you don't on the run, you don't know if that person is, a drunk driver. You kind of have like almost a civic obligation, a civic and moral obligation to report it to,
Hmm.
that's what I say. I don't make it seem like I have any power, like I'm making a deal with you, but this kind of journalism definitely does involve the law. And, I make that clear. So, he's going to want to, usually it's kind of like you want to talk himself out of it, pretty much. That's what the predators are going to want to do. And that's something we can do is give denial a voice, because the more they do that, the more there's going to be inconsistencies in what they're saying, discrepancies, and then you can kind of bring it back up like a question, like how this doesn't really make sense connected to anything.
Hmm.
Our catches are by no means a confrontation. We don't assert any kind of power of any kind, and that's the best way to, um, I believe, to get any kind of conviction or assist in legal prosecution, because something I kind of would make the point at is we're not at all cops. We're not law enforcement. We don't pretend to be that. We're journalists, and that simply involve the law, where there is a precedent, in kind of American history about journalists, being the catalyst, like that would start an investigation where they say that they'll find information that could turn to a tip, and then the police could start their investigation. Happened throughout history, happened through Watergate, all kinds of stuff, even the Harvey Weinstein thing, all kinds of stuff, where journalists, the people that are the source of the information, are journalists. But this issue, this sector, some reason it's looked at as like just a bunch of kids causing trouble. So that's kind of
Hmm.
the issue that I have, that I really want to kind of fight that this can be done in a legitimate way. But yeah, but that catch was really long. So the first thing was a half hour on the scene. Then the next thing was it was about like an hour and a half or 2 hours. And he actually had us interview him like inside his laundry room or something for a little while. Um, but then what happened was it got so long that like he actually ended up kicking us out. But if he hadn't kicked us out at that point, all our camera equipment would have died like within minutes. I found out like so
So
we went
you've
from a
been
camera.
screwed.
Yeah, so then we would have had to leave anyway. So we're kind of glad he kicked us out then. It was like perfect timing. So it's like, all right, yeah, we'll go. You know. And then after he wanted a phone call, and I cut that out, but it was 45 minutes. I was on the way home, and I pulled over, had a conversation with them. That was cut out. Um, or I think it was cut out. I don't know if it was cut out. I don't think it was actually cut out. Um, no, it wasn't cut out. Um, and then I think then we went to, I'll just say a house. I want to say who it is to identify anything. But actually I'll say my associate's house. No one knows who that is. Um,
You're so
and
good.
then yeah, yeah.
Not
He wants to
jumping
remain,
in there.
yeah, he wants to remain anonymous. So yeah, kind of yeah, we should have like it kind of sounds like the mafia or whatever, like the associate, get like a briefcase or whatever. Nah,
You know
but
somebody that you know.
yeah, yeah, person that started NVCAP actually with um and you know um yeah, so yeah, then we had actually a 2 hour phone interview there. So that catch was literally from we literally couldn't have gotten more information because it literally started from the interview to when like the second I went to sleep, like the entire
Mhm.
day. Like it was the entire day. There was no like after catch anything. It was just like the entire day running all of us into the ground, like the end of the day. Just like it went way past midnight. It was like from so it would have been like a if it was unchopped up or whatever, because you have to kind of redact certain things, to do this in a legal way. Um, you know, it would have been like yeah, it would have been like a 6 hour catch. It would have been crazy long. But it was cut down to 3.5 hours.
So what do you do during those times when it's longer than you expected? Like, do you have like backup phone batteries or whatnot? Do you?
Um, Literally at the time we just kind of deal like,
Hmm.
and if we like, and it's just yeah, there's no like set system. But now we kind of
Hmm.
do. Now we're kind of realizing that like portable batteries or whatever are a good thing. Um, Crazy thing is, I was actually on a catch with Alex or whatever, and I was using a decoy phone, and streaming drains your battery like nothing else. Like your phone will get really hot too, and it'll just
Yes,
like
it
it'll
does.
go down even with the yeah, even probably even know like even with the um like I was streaming, and even with the phone battery, it just like goes to zero. It's just like wicked quick, and then the stream ended, and but then I remember I brought my computer and then I just put my computer right where the predator was and to continue filming it. So now I'm just editing that. Um, but yeah, that was kind of an issue where we just don't have enough. Because the thing is, like, the best thing for it to do is like to not cut it off. Like, if you can, let that interaction be as long as possible. My opinion, because you can get them to give you more opportunities to like. Basically, I would see it as like you're getting them to rule out any kind of potential reasonable doubt. Like the obvious ones are gonna just not make sense. They're gonna be saying like, and every predator says this. I knew it was a setup. It just
Hmm.
doesn't make sense. Like, why would you walk into a setup? Um, but
I
even
was just
give
curious
like,
to see what it was like. That's
yeah,
another
see what it was
classic one.
like. Yeah, I want to see. I want to be arrested today. That's what I want to do. Like I don't get it. But yeah. So it's like yeah, it's like this where yeah. So it's like you would kind of think about any kind of potential reasonable doubt and don't be afraid to raise it because it shouldn't make sense. If you know that they're guilty, if you know that where they're there for, I'm not afraid to like raise and or give an opportunity to provide any kind of reasonable doubt. So I'm like, so I would ask like, is there any kind of possibility of like this or that? And then even after, you can even offer them treatment or whatever. And if they don't follow through, then you have more documentation. So it's just
Hmm.
like you're so basically when a conviction is based on not if something is, more true than not. That's kind of the standard of the grand jury. But the standard of a conviction is beyond any reasonable doubt. So all we kind of do is we think of any kind of reasonable doubt we could possibly think of, rehabilitation, anything, and we just kind of we're impartial to it, but we're not afraid to raise it because we know it won't hold up. So
So
yeah,
my
that's what
question
we
for
done.
you is, what do you think? What preventions would you have in place for them to not reoffend?
Well, here's the thing: is we're not in the business of that. A lot, like I mean, this is just a
I'm just saying, if you
disagreement.
had your way, if you had your way, like if you were able to change laws and whatnot, what would you have in place?
Oh, on the macro level, I would say this. And some people wouldn't will kind of be debating about it, but I would say this: like it would be a system where they would disclose that they have these tendencies to be interested in children, and I feel like it would instead people are kind of too ashamed to like admit that, and it would be like it's kind of like a skeleton in their closet that they're not addressing. That would kind of just come out when they eventually are about to offend. So what we would be for is a system where they would already kind of be transparent about it. And as long as, and
Mhm.
then what would happen is like the NSA can track everything. You know, we have the technology to do it. It can track your phone or whatever. And it would be like this is they would track you to that extent, but the only thing they would be able to do with that information would be to prevent you from committing a child sex crime. That would include child porn, anything. Like looking at that, or offending, so that, in theory, you could, be dealing drugs or whatever it is you would do. They would not be able to do anything with that. They would not be able to approach you, nothing. But they would not, it would be like, let's say they found out that, like, if it was, they use that information to gather information on another crime, it would have to be thrown out. So it would be this thing where you would make it transparent to them, to the government, that you have this thing, right? That the person has, these pedophilic tendencies, and it would be the onus would be on the government to stop them, and it would be like, which is very possible, I think, because people, it takes kind of like a long time before people like calculate and decide to do that. So I think that would be the best way to do it. Um, and then, yeah, I mean, pretty much, yeah, I mean, um, I don't. Some people, and this is just a disagreement, and it's just an honest disagreement because there are some predator catchers out there. I'm not going to mention that they do it the wrong way, where it's like, where I don't even believe their goal um, stop a predator or anything. But this is kind of different, where it's like an honest disagreement, where I know their heart's in the right place, their goals are in the right place. These other predator catcher groups, where
Mhm.
it's just a disagreement, but what they think is that they can just like, talk really stern to them, and then they're just gonna talk the predator out of being a predator, being like, we're gonna try to prevent you from doing it again. I mean, you can't prevent a predator from doing it again. Like, there are predators that go through prison, get snot beat out of them, if you will, and they'll come out and they'll do it again because their brain's literally designed to offend. But I mean, but honestly, that's like almost just like, as far as that goes, that's just a disagreement, of like,
Mhm.
but yeah, based on what I've seen, it's like studies or whatever. So like our kind of goal is just to, as journalists, make our information as useful as possible to the public and law enforcement, so that the proper channels can do the right thing.
So have you always had a journalism background? Like, did you go to
No,
school for that?
nope, I don't even have a degree. Like journalism, all you have to do to be a journalist is to just gather information and just make it useful. It's just like kind of like, I kind of say it in like the sense of like a verb, like doing journalism,
Hmm.
you know, where you don't need this, like, you don't need to have like 20 years working at CNN. You don't need to go to the school, whatever. It's just like any American has the right to gather information in a legal, ethical, and voluntary way, and make that information useful to even law enforcement if need be, in the public. And that's kind of like our main thing we kind of try to defend.
Try to keep the main thing, right?
Yeah, crazy thing is, I think you took that word because like I say that word all the time, and I find myself like trying to not say that because it's like your word too. And but like I use that word too. I don't say the main thing, but I say the word main thing a lot, and
Yeah.
it's like I say it all the time.
I
So,
caught myself saying it from somebody else, and it just went off from there. So I stole it from somebody else.
yeah, 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 I use that. Yeah, yeah, I use that. Yeah, it's kind of like it's kind of like when I'm when I'm kind of talking, I kind of use main thing as like, this is the most important part, and that's kind of,
Yeah.
it's hard to not say main thing, like, you know.
Sometimes I say it and I don't even realize I say it, and it just comes out of my mouth naturally.
Yeah, yeah, gotta keep the main thing.
Exactly. Exactly. So I see you did a catch with Jay. How did that go this weekend?
Good. Good. It was kind of just like back to how we were doing catches. Only, it's kind of more like, I was kind of with another organization. I think that it was just like miscommunication, misunderstandings at first that kind of got out of hand. That's kind of what I think happened. Um, like kind of the falling that led to kind of the falling out in the beginning.
Hmm.
Um, and that's kind of what I think it was. But yeah, I mean, um, yeah, he does a good job. I mean, he knows. He taught me how to execute chat logs like the right way and everything. And I mean, I can talk all day about like my research I did about the law, but as far as like the skill of like decoying and everything, like how to not, like you can get banned, all kinds of things can go wrong. You can just like it's just like it's very like it's very precise on like the execution of like how you're doing it, like in terms of like
Hmm.
how you're executing the chat logs. That I kind of I learned that and apply it to any of the catches I do, and kind of taught me how to do that, and it's very valuable information.
So what else did you excuse me? What else did you learn from him? Excuse me.
Um, that's a good question. I mean, pretty much I remember in the beginning, I would just ask a bunch of questions like, can I do this? Can I do that? Could I say this? Say that? And then it was just kind of like trial and error where, he would answer whether I could do that or say this or say that. Yeah. So pretty much I kind of learned, how, because I remember I didn't even know what a GoPro was. But like you can't, like the first catch, he kind of showed me how to use a GoPro, and I kind of didn't know how to use it because I wasn't like a cameraman or anything. And I actually took pictures in the beginning. That's why if you notice, there's an angle switch because it just went from me taking pictures to
Hmm.
like Jay's live to when I finally figured out how to use the camera. Um, so you know, so yeah, yeah, pretty much a lot of things. I can't really um it's like also, he'll have a lot of conversation with detectives about kind of like what are main points to focus on when interviewing, and like also getting them to kind of identify themselves that they've done this crime, all kinds of things like that.
Hmm.
Um, and I think I remember another thing where um, I think I was gonna like record someone like a predator saying something, and I think that kind of ran into an issue where that would actually be that could result in a violation of recording law. So it kind of basically it's kind of just like I would kind of ask a question and you would answer. So it's kind of just like,
Hmm.
yeah, pretty much the whole skill of predator catching, pretty much.
That's cool.
Yo,
What's
CC
up?
unit.
Is that the CC unit?
Yeah, I keep saying, is that the Colorado Pit Patrol? Is that the CC unit? You know?
If it is,
Uh,
what's up? Thank you for stopping in.
yeah, I really like CC unit too. He has really good work. He's in San Diego.
You guys kind of, I can kind of compare you guys. You're both young and trying to. He's obviously on another level, but I appreciate you for going out there on the front lines and doing this. I was going to ask him about aliens later on because I saw a couple of your videos. So, do you honestly, legitimately believe aliens exist?
Oh yeah, because wanna know what happened? So this is even before me and Jay were doing catches together again, right? What happened was, and the only thing I can describe to it, and since Colorado Pit Patrol, was in the chat too, right? He would know about that. Where Colorado Pit Patrol, FM, PB Mass, and me were all decoying in the same city with no at the same time with no explanation. So only like thing, and then what happened was I was decoying or whatever, and I call my decoy. I don't know if it was Jay, but it was like a variation of Jay, maybe. But then Jay's decoy name was Ryan, and it was like a young picture of him, and it was a young picture of me, and like that's the only explanation of that is alien mind control. So so like
See,
one thing
I
we gotta do is make
saw,
sure.
yeah, I saw that, and I thought that was you doing like a face app or something of Jay. That's what I thought I saw at first. I didn't realize that was what it was.
Yeah, it was he was decoying. I was decoying, and we just by coincidence, we apparently used each other's names. So I mean, I think that coincidences are just excuses for aliens. So you know, no. But yeah,
So
um,
maybe that's why you believe that's why you're on Mars because you could see the aliens or trying to find out
yeah,
if aliens
yeah, we're trying
really
to
exist.
branch out. We're
Yeah,
trying to look everywhere.
maybe there's
Yeah, we gotta.
predators on other planets. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it could be like an intergalactic problem, or but like
Intergalactic.
mainly either I don't know if they're like they support predator catchers or against them because if they wanted to debase predator catchers, they would put them in the same city, and then all the predators would get sussed out because there's a bunch of kids on the internet. They would say something's going on, and then all the predator catchers would kind of work against each other without not knowing it because of
Mm-hmm.
control of the aliens. But or maybe that doesn't happen, and they could just recognize, all right, this is like predators. There's a lot of predators in the city, so we need all the predator catchers there. So we're not really sure if the predator catchers are in favor of predator catching or not, or the aliens are in favor of predator catching or not.
I would think they would be such so they can take things in their own hands and then and join the population and maybe even out the bad stuff that's going on in the world. Maybe just a thought.
Maybe. Yeah. Um. Yeah.
So, what is your future plans for your channel and your catching?
Um. I want to turn it into something where it can be the main. See, I say it. The main thing
The main thing, the main
is
thing.
yeah. Start to not say it. Um.
Oh, CC unit
Is
just. I'm gonna go ahead
yeah. I
and.
just yeah. I just read that. That's crazy. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know CC Unit knew who I was. Yeah. I watched CC Unit like from way back. I don't know, like I really appreciate that those kind of words. I think that CC Unit does catches, like he's in like hundreds of catches, like way over 200. Like
Mhm.
I think that CC Unit kind of this branch a little bit, this kind of side of predator catching. We kind of make sure we kind of want to do this in a legitimate way. So kind of tying that into like the next question. Well, I mean that the question was mainly we want to show that this can be done in a legitimate way, that it does not mean that we're vigilantes, you know? Um, like it does not mean that we're going to be taken as vigilantes. So it's kind of like if I can be a part of anything like that, you know, that would be, I don't know, that would be like the most, that would be worth more than 1 million subs and everything like that. Like that would be, like as far as like growing a channel, I mean, if NVCAP can be a part of proving that this can be done in a legitimate way, just like any other journalism,
Mhm.
and we can kind of all, work together on that. I don't know, that would be really, that would just be like the most important thing. That would be like the goal number one, just to prove that this can be done in a useful and legitimate way. And I think
So,
all these predator catchers I see prove that every day.
so you plan on keep on doing this as long as possible? I know everybody says
Yeah,
that, but what your long term plans are?
yeah. Pretty much as long as I could. But if you think about it, if the right system gets put in place, then we wouldn't need to do it. Where, let's say we have a system where we're actually dealing with this effectively. Let's say the problem's solved. Because essentially all we're doing is we're trying to solve a problem. So if the problem's solved, you don't need to solve it. You know what I mean? So up
Mhm.
until the problem's solved, I want to be a part of the fight, and all these predator catchers in the chat right now are leading the pack in that fight, and they're doing a great job every day in their catches. I really feel that they really care about doing it the right way, and the crazy thing is we just don't have enough support from our government. We're figuring this out totally trial and error, you know, and we like if you kind of like see some criticism of predator catcher channels, you'll say, oh, there's no law enforcement involvement, there's no guidance by the government. But the
Mhm.
problem with that is like we would want that. We're journalists. We're not saying we know the law. We're not saying we're cops. We would want the law enforcement to work with us, where we're not saying we're cops, but we could be informants to law enforcement, informants to the government, and how to and bring in cases. And you know but what I see here is kind of like, and I would kind of include, you in this category, and JDQ and Reddit is kind of, and PNN, is it kind of allow the meta part of it to kind of take place, is we can kind of all put our heads together about like what should you do on a catch, what shouldn't you do on a catch, kind of talking about that. And I feel like this is kind of like the meta field of predator catching, where you can kind of kind of go out and kind of discuss the stuff. Discuss like
Hmm.
what is the right way to do it? What is the wrong way to do it? Who's doing it in a bad way? Where do we go from here? All these kind of questions where, we can always have in mind and kind of discuss. So instead of having the government, guide us, we can guide each other. You know.
So, what would you say from early your catches early on in decoying? How would you change and how would you improve things in the future? Like for yourself?
Um, I wouldn't go in that hotel room. Wouldn't do that.
Uh,
That was yeah, that was crazy because like it was I didn't like how that happened was it was like I had a mic, and you know I think we just kind of like lost track of each other, I guess. Yeah, don't go in any hotel rooms, Reddit. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and yeah, so I thought like I was supposed to ask like two questions and get answers,
Mhm.
and then what happened was you know um like instead of the plan of the predator was supposed to we're supposed to talk in the lobby, have a conversation in the lobby, and instead the guy like power walked to the room, and then the second it kind of took me a little while to realize this, but like when I was in the elevator I realized I'm not supposed to he isn't PBMass doesn't know where I am. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I have questions I need to answer. So I'm like, what do? I don't want to blow the catch because if I ran away, it would have blown the catch, right? So,
Hmm.
like, so I was like, and then, I remember I was just like, I don't want to cuss, but I was like, I'll just say another word, darn, right?
Can you not cuss?
Okay,
Can you not
okay,
cuss?
I don't know if you guys have like,
I don't
you
care,
know,
bro. You can cuss.
contracts or whatever, I don't know. But I
You.
want to But yeah, I was kind like right when we were about to go to the room, a room, like I was, I was kind of like, I was just like, fuck, like I don't want to go into this room, and I'm like, but I don't know what to do. I don't know to leave. And at that point, I was just like, okay, I'm just gonna get these answers to these questions, and then I'm just gonna get the predator to go outside the hotel room so that we can do the confrontation. Where Jay would be out, I guess, outside the hotel, and I was gonna try to just lead him outside the hotel, and have him like maybe say, "Oh yeah, we should like maybe walk first or whatever." And that's
Hmm.
when I was gonna have him, like, you know, that's when we were gonna do the sting. But he just wasn't going, and it was like this creepy as hell thing experience. And honestly, I really just saw what a real predator would like say to a kid, and how they would behave to a kid. And it's like if that can't motivate you to like like want to do like a million catches, nothing will, because it's like what he would have done to a kid, what he have said to a kid was traumatic. It was really like almost like a some kind of like horror movie, whatever. When I was hearing him say and everything, and it was just like, yeah, I mean, when you really see like what a predator would say, or like say they want to do with the kid, and you're just kind of like hearing it, it's yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it's like you just like we have to do something about that.
Yes. Did he try to make a move on you? Glad you weren't unharmed. Um, disregard that. So that caused your falling out with Dave, right? That
No, no,
situation.
no, not at all. That was the
We don't
second.
have. Okay. So we don't have to go into details because I know it's been talked to death. I want to talk about the aftermath of how you got a lot of backlash, from myself included, I will admit. Um,
Yeah,
how did you react to that? The people that were criticizing you and
yeah,
trolling you and stuff like that, how did you react to that?
yeah. So actually, I want to kind of explain that. So basically, yeah. So that catch was like the second catch, and there was no. It wasn't even. Yeah, Reddit said I got robbed twice. There was no time. It was no issue with the particular catch. And by the way, that was just the second catch. After that, we did four more. So it wasn't the catches. We did six catches together. In a span of 3 weeks. So if anything, I was like, at the at the sixth catch, I actually looked like very tired or whatever because I was like doing Uber and doing catches like nonstop. And if
Hmm.
anything, I've there was no shortage of catches. There was no issue with catches. There's a lot of catches done, and they went well. Um, I think what happened was I guess it wasn't understood that I was trying to do predator catching too, and he thought that I was trying to like in kind of a unethical way, I guess like use his like platform or whatever for like my benefit, I guess.
Hmm.
And what happened was I had a decoy phone. I bought a decoy phone, and the predator like and what happened was someone I think one time we tried to do call-ins, because I always dox every number I have pretty much. Um, you know, and actually the predator was calling in and everything. But we wanted people to call in, and I thought that it was someone from the stream or whatever. And someone texts the so later on, someone texts a decoy phone on the sixth catch, and he said, "Yeah, I think the predator put the drugs over there." It was a catch where the predator brought drugs to meet the miner.
Hmm.
So yeah, you know, so what happened was not really thinking anything of it. I just kind of, me and Jay, we live really far away, like about 100 miles away from each other. So I kind of just said like maybe I can bring someone on a catch, with me, and so the way kind of interpreted that was like, oh, you're going like, are you like going by my back? Are you like to like do your own thing? It's kind of like if let's say like you're selling a house to someone and you have a real estate agent to do it, and then you don't pay the real estate agent, just say I'm selling you the house after the deal's done.
Hmm.
It's like, it was kind of maybe interpreted as like some kind of irregularity or something. And I just remember kind of just because that was just not the intention at all, being kind of taken aback by that. And then we got into a fight, and I thought it was going to be like and I'm going to get into like the answer to that question next. But um oh no. Um, but yeah, so then it was kind of just like a spat. But then what happened was, yeah, I thought it was just gonna be like a spat and it was gonna be over. But then what happened was like, I think it was when the first catch came out. Because when in the first catch, I mean, I kind of did realize I kind of was a little annoying on the catch. A couple things like I was like a serious issue or whatever, and
Hmm.
I was kind of, I mean, I feel like I kind of actually looking back, I can see I was overstepping, but at the time there wasn't an issue. It was like, you know, I was a driver too, and like, we had a fun ride home and everything. We were all good, at the time. There was no, and that was the first catch I was ever on, and we were fine for five more catches. Um, yeah, someone from New Jersey just called me. But yeah, um, and yeah, so we are sorry, where was I?
Okay. You said that
Oh,
so.
okay.
You saying that you're on the way home from the catch?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, we were good then, but on the catch and everything. Um, yeah, so then pretty much what happened was when the video came out, it was kind of made it seem like I was like this camera guy, that I was fired or whatever, even though it was a joke. Like what happened was like all the comments started saying all
Hmm.
this negative stuff or whatever, and I was like a nobody. I wasn't like this person with a channel or anything. And I think we kind of had a similar experience with that, where we
Hmm.
had like a backlash, you know, um, and you know, like it's a lot in the beginning, but then what happened was, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was a lot in the beginning, but then it kind of went from like, kind of just like, I guess maybe, I don't know, a little offensive, whatever. It went from one thing where it kind of went from like, like I kind of got individually mad, like what someone was saying, like, yo, what's that person talking about? Like,
Hmm.
but then it kind of went from like that to like, whoa, that's a lot of people. Like, it went from like that's what people are saying to like why are they saying it, like why is it all this focus on like me, so I kind of went from like I guess offended at first, but then to confused kind of. And yeah, I mean, it's like how the internet works. But then what happened was, yeah, we pretty much did our own catches, and you know, yeah, I guess like you have to actually no, I remember what happened was I called in Red Hood, pretty much, and I kind of just wanted to explain my side of everything, and I called in Red Hood and I explained my side of the story and everything, um, and it kind of was like I kind of got to say my side, but then we kind of reached an understanding where it was kind of like before it was like without me saying anything it kind of seemed like I was like this kind of villain I guess for the
Mm,
backlash and if you're not able to say your side that's kind of how it's going to look. So when I kind of first got to say my side of the story or whatever, then everything kind of cleared up from there where some of the people that watched PV Mass were kind of like they kind of they had a lot of their concerns gone. And I was actually so confused by the PP Ryans. I remember it's in Reddit still has it up, but I remember I was like, yo, I don't know what's going on. There's like all these PP Ryans. I'm not PP Ryan. What's going on? I was like so confused. I was like, with the PP Ryans. I didn't get that at all, but because it was for months. It was like after it was a long time. It was like there was a lot of PP Ryans going on in chats. One said you know, that like I was saying that Jay did meth and Rami stream or something.
mm-hmm,
And you know, something I actually did clarify was some people were what's the word, rumoring that. Um, and I actually cleared that up that I never saw anything like that at all. So I actually cleared that up when I was talking to Reddit. But yeah, it kind of came down to this is when in YouTube or whatever, like the way you kind of navigate it is pretty much kind of realizing it's not serious or whatever. It's kind of just like almost like a funny game kind of. Like as far as
mm-hmm,
YouTube, it's not kind of like a mirror of life. It's not real life or whatever. And that was kind of the beginning where, I kind of, understood that. And then from then on, but yeah, first, just like for the average person, it can be like a lot at first, but then you kind of learn how to navigate the weird part of YouTube, and then you're just able to you know kind of function like where yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I'm trying to remember what happened. Like yeah, I think it was after I put out my first sketch, talked to Reddit, but pretty much I think that was like the like the turning point or whatever. And then yeah, then I kind of just realized it wasn't really that serious or whatever. Then but yeah, at first it's kind of like no cap, it's kind of a lot. You don't really know how to navigate it at first. You're kind of
mm-hmm.
confused by it more than anything. Because yeah, but I think that you kind of went through a similar thing.
Yeah.
I wasn't really sure on the specifics of that, but yeah, it's kind of like it is kind of difficult to navigate first, but you kind of just kind of get accustomed to it, and then um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Kind of just it's like
Did you?
it's not about like you can't be like one of those people that's like pretend, oh, I don't give a fuck what people think, whatever. You just
Mm,
gotta navigate it. It's not like someone, let's say, like there's some kind of conflict or whatever, you're upset about it. You gotta like emotionally, you gotta kind of like emotionally deal with that, and then when if you're representing like a public organization or whatever, you gotta kind of be grounded. So it's not necessarily
mm-hmm,
like um you know like denying reality or whatever, but you just gotta kind of like like not necessarily like like ignore like a conflict or whatever, ignore like maybe, let's say you have like a feud or whatever. um it's like you're entitled to your emotions, but then you gotta kind of deal with that first, and then you approach everything from a grounded point pretty much, and then just kind of focus on what you're trying to actually accomplish pretty much.
got to keep the main
Yeah,
thing the main thing.
gotta keep the main thing the main thing. Yeah.
So, did you have anybody like personally come at you, like attack you and stuff like that, like threaten you?
No, I mean, at first though, I didn't know what to expect. I almost thought that was possible because I was like, I was more, I don't know, it was more like, I don't know, it was like, it was so alien to me that like there was that much focus or whatever, because I was kind of just like, kind of a quiet person or whatever, and I just didn't know how to navigate at all. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't sure if like someone tracked like if all these people are saying that someone tracked me down, is there like some crazy person on the internet or whatever? But yeah, I mean nothing like that happened. But yeah, it's just kind of weird. Like I saw like a lot of like comments or whatever. People write these essays about like how I was an issue on a catch or whatever, and it was just like you know it's kind of like at first, and I probably could say like you probably felt the same thing is you're trying to pretty much do something good, right? You know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of the way I was trying to do. I had good intentions too, and it was like kind of like it's like at first you're kind of like why why is so much negativity coming my way when all I was trying to do is like something good, with pretty much no promise of like money or anything like that. And then so at first it can kind of be at first it can kind of just yeah I mean at first it's like very confusing, can be demoralizing when something like that happens, but then you kind of yeah I mean I guess you kind of just like learn to navigate it, I guess, and then kind of focus on what you're trying to accomplish. But yeah, it's like because I'm sure like with your show, and I think that a huge benefit of your show is you're actually trying to give like victims a voice. Like some victims of like predators have, uh, you know, said their story on on your show. Where
Mm-hmm.
that's a huge thing. Where if you start encouraging that, then more victims will have less stigma to come out and
Mm-hmm.
say their story within the statute of limitations as opposed to waiting without the statute of limitations because they have every reason to not really tell anyone based on how much stigma there is. So I think that's a huge benefit to your program and programs like yours is like kind of certainly breaking the stigma of victims and everything. But that like you're trying to, at the end of the day you're trying to do a good thing. We're trying to do a good thing, and
It's all come together.
yeah, pretty
So,
much. And it's kind of like there's a lot of
was there times where you wanted to quit, or did you just okay? I just gotta navigate through this and
no,
this too shall pass.
no, the crazy thing is I don't know. And actually, I mean, I'll actually I'll say this now, but I think like Jay like at the time we were like feuding whatever, he was kind of giving he would give like a jab here and there, nothing crazy whatever. Like he would say
Mm-hmm.
something, and it just motivated me to like prove people wrong whatever, and be like not to say prove people wrong, but like it just kind of like someone tells me like I can't do something or whatever, like I have to do it,
Mm-hmm.
So it actually kind of like yeah motivate me to like do the first sketch whatever. So I'd also like yeah so pretty much just kind of motivated to like I have to do a catch, and then we finally did it. I feel like it was kind of like the catalyst to get things off the ground, kind of, and then after it was kind of pretty smooth sailing from there. um yeah but yeah I mean yeah, but also there's a lot of misinformation on the internet, like when people kind of like talk whatever. That's why I'm kind of a fan of like letting both sides speak,
Mm-hmm.
because like let's not just like talk about the person, let's like talk to the person. Like let's actually just gather as much information. That's actually my word. I say all the time, gather information. But
Mm-hmm.
you want to gather information to just that's the best thing to do. Like have both sides talk. But there's some misinformation about you. Like they kind of took like the thing. I'm not gonna say what it is, but the thing like
I
they
already
took it.
know. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah,
I already know.
yeah,
That's the thing. Like I'm so
yeah,
over with it. I don't care.
yeah,
But I was in the same situation you were. Like 90% of the stuff was
yeah,
untrue, completely
yeah.
untrue.
Right.
It's stuff that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. The accusations that were being made against me.
Yeah,
But and then they would take like a 10-second clip of something and blow it completely out of proportion.
I saw
So
that.
I was yeah, I can um I was in your shoes, and it didn't take me to a few weeks ago to realize, because admittedly I was one of those that was jumping on you without having the information myself, and
Yeah,
I realized, we're kind of in the same situation. And after I was going to do it before I had issues with my friend, but after you
Yeah,
made
yeah,
the video, I reached out to you. It's like, you know what? I apologized on my end because I was wrong. I admitted in public, like, because
yeah.
you and I were both in the same situation. So,
Yeah, yeah, and also like I didn't really know who you were in the beginning. Like, so I mean, so when some of the like when I didn't really hear from you directly, like they kind of said some of the stuff to me, and all I kind of my only reaction was like, okay, I mean, they kind of want because they wanted me to go on what's your story then, I think some reason I don't know why, but they I was kind of like I don't know, like I don't like I'm hearing all this stuff, I don't know if I want to like talk to this person, or whatever. But not that you were
mm,
actually trying to have like an interview with me then, but yeah, it's kind of like we were in the same position of like kind of being kind of overwhelmed with like a lot, like a kind of like a tidal wave of like just a lot of misinformation and everything. And at first,
mm,
like any kind of like reasonable person, it's like a lot because it's like you don't even know where to begin, how to respond, what to do. Because then if you look like you're responding, it look like you're like it'll look like you're kind of you know like thin skinned or whatever. You just like it's kind of like you start thinking like you're not really sure what to do. After
mm.
like it's just
You
like
make
kind of like
10,000 apology videos.
yeah, you just didn't know like do I apologize, and then if you don't like the apology, I'm like what do I do? What do you guys want from me? You're probably like I apologize, like what do you want me to do? And then you're like they don't like the apology videos. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean it's difficult to navigate. The only way to navigate is just kind of like hitting the bumps along the way pretty much. That's literally the only way, like just trial and error. And Yeah, I mean, we kind of were really in a very similar situation where we kind of had to navigate like a backlash and to navigate ourselves to where we can kind of focus on what our whole plan was in the first place. But it's kind of like I bet kind of your the kind of like what it felt like to be in your position or whatever was you're trying to do good and then all you got
Mhm.
was like the worst accusation you could make and you don't even know what to do with it. Then you do everything you think you do everything you think is right to
Mhm.
respond to it, with the apology videos, and then still that's not enough and you're just like, well, what do you do? And like all you're trying to do along was like good intentions,
What
so
my mistake? Well, my mistake. I didn't mean to interrupt you. My mistake was I shouldn't have posted that in the first place. But the videos, I took it down, so it made it worse whenever I would do another one, and then I would take that down
yeah,
again. You live and you learn. But
yeah, it's kind of like it's like the it's kind of like it's kind of like it made it seem like you couldn't do anything right, kind of like it kind of made it seem like if you apologize, then that's bad. Take it down, that's bad. It's like you have to kind
mhm,
of it's kind of difficult to navigate, but then when you do navigate, you kind of figure it out. But it's kind of like it's kind of just like a human moment, where we can kind of realize we were in the same situation, and we had to kind of navigate it to focus on you know, kind of the good intentions we kind of came into it with. And,
mhm.
I kind of see that's what you're doing. And best luck to you with that. Yeah.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. It's just it took my friend's loss, death to kind of put things in perspective and just put things on a whole new light. Put everything behind me. Just like I always say, keep the main thing the main thing. But like you said, YouTube is it's not it's not real. So why take things seriously? Why you know take things to heart?
Yeah. It's like if you were to explain like how to navigate, like, maybe kind of what we're trying to do, there's no clear answer because, you know, it's very complicated of like exactly what you do. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like you're not really sure. It's kind of like it's something that it's like a skill. You have to kind of just like learn how to do, and you're not gonna learn how
Hmm.
to do it until you do it. Like that's pretty much it. But all you can kind of do is, like, and that's kind of what you did is, you just kept kind of doing your thing, keeping the main thing, if you will, keeping, what's your story, having people say their stories, and you never went back on what you said you wanted to do. Like when you started, what's your story? Like you're still doing it.
Hmm.
I think that you're an asset to, it's kind of the cause and everything, and a lot of people agree with that.
I appreciate
Yep.
that, man. We can start questions here in a minute for Ryan. Um, what is your goals towards the end of the year for your channel?
I don't really put a time on it like that. But
Are you a goal oriented person? Like you set goals every day, or just fly by the seat of your
I set
pants?
I set intentions. I set intentions pretty much without like kind of having like a time thing. Because like I feel like if you get caught up in the time, it's like doesn't it matter if it happens if it takes like a month or a year. It's kind of just like like what does a time post matter? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So yeah. Like I would say to kind of continue doing stories on like predators, maybe to kind of like scale where it could be like almost like a Chris Hansen kind of thing, kind of turn into a non for profit. That's kind of a goal. I can't say when they'll happen or whatever, but something where this kind of field can be done in a legitimate way, and we can kind of. I feel like I just want to talk to those. Like, I want to be a part of like talking to those DAs that just think that it's a great idea to ignore predator catchers. It's like with all their information, say we're not taking a case on predator catching. Here's the thing here's the biggest thing that doesn't make sense. And think about. I've mentioned this before, but like they'll say, oh, so we're not going to take a case, right, on from these vigilantes, right, these predator catchers, which are not breaking any kind of law, right? So so here's the thing: we're not going to take any kind of case from about a predator. So they're going to post all this information about the predator online,
Mhm.
right? You know where they're going to be exposed and everything, and they're going to commit to not prosecuting them. And anytime throughout history, real vigilantism happens when there's a vacuum where the rule of law is supposed to be in place. So if you're saying like, oh, there's a bunch of people guilty of murder, but they're committing to not prosecuting them, what do you think is going to happen? That's going to cause real vigilantism. That person's going to be exposed. That person needs to be in prison so that the real vigilant like they're so these DAs are creating vigilantism by not taking our cases every single time.
Mhm.
They're the biggest vigilante enablers are the district attorneys that we pay for with our taxpayer money that are not they're committing to decriminalize child molestation, committing to not go after these online predators. So I don't know. That's like the biggest thing that kind of irks me.
I can see
Um,
you're passionate about it, man. That's like when you talk about it, you can tell the passion that's coming from your voice, man. So keep doing what
yeah,
you're doing, bro.
yeah, um, yeah. So pretty much the main point is to kind of, I guess certainly to scale it to maybe like a nonprofit, but to prove that this sector of journalism is also just as legitimate as any other field of journalism. And we're not saying I think that we should have guidelines in place, and be able to make it so that we can work with our government to kind of get rid of all the other issues that kind of come along with it. Because we're basically just a bunch of citizens figuring out, on our own. But I think we've done a very good job at that. But that's pretty much the goal, is to pretty much maybe turn it into a non for profit, and to prove that this can be done in a legitimate way. That's pretty much the main goal.
True. True. Jesus had a question. Jesus asked if you were an alien.
Yeah, I was
You are?
actually yeah. So actually I interviewed him for being an alien, right? And I was just in total denial. It was total projection. That yeah, I was in fact an alien. And I accused someone else of being
Confirmed?
an alien. Yeah,
Confirmed?
confirmed.
Do
Yeah,
we need to take you to Area 51 and do some
yeah,
research?
yeah. No, I don't need to go back there. It was a good place for aliens.
Go
You
back?
know.
Oh, you've already been there. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, they don't treat aliens well. They like no air conditioning.
Courtney Courtney asked on a scale of 1 to 10, how lovely, Courtney, how lovely am I in your eyes?
How lovely. Who is who? Wait, who?
How lovely am I in your eyes? Is basically what she was asking.
Good. I guess. I don't know. I don't know how you would quantify that. I don't know how to answer that actually.
I
Yeah,
I
good
don't care
show.
if you
It's
do.
your story.
We're next
Good
next
show.
question.
Say yes.
Yeah. Next question.
So, Brian, tell us about your political activism. Um, yeah, actually, I feel the motive of predator catching is kind of like a combination of like my kind of because I've been politically active before, but kind of like the motive of that I kind of was to be politically active, and kind of sometimes something I also did was I didn't like put out any videos or whatever, but it was always like a fun thing to like troll telemarketers and like scam baiting people. So it's kind of like I feel like both those kind of motives kind of led to like predator catching, where you're kind of like wanting to do something about a specific group of people. And at first, it's kind of just like whatever, but then it's like you actually want to I don't know, solve a problem. So it's like I feel like it's kind of like kind of both like motives going on. As far as like political activism, as far as like this issue goes, we need to, you know, kind of demand that these district attorneys and the people in Congress, our legislators on the state and local level and federal level, demand that they work with us because the people are on our side, and the only way we're going to mobilize change is we demand they're on our side, and that's other than that, we're not going to, they're just going to smugly dismiss us.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Jules said you already escaped Area 51. We got a little whoosh train going on here. What group? What group would you like to collab with in the future?
Um. Pretty much, as far as that goes, like I would want to be a part of any helping any kind of group, get to benefiting them in any kind of way, where it could mean that they're either going to be able to get a predator more easily or just to benefit, just to help, pretty much. Like whoever would be a benefit, to them, I would want to help. And there's even certain predator catchers that like, I feel like their goal isn't even to kind of be about the cause or whatever. But, if it could mean, even changing that group to, actually doing the right thing about the cause or whatever, I mean, I'm for anything, you know? Pretty much anything that would help. Oh yeah,
Hmm?
there is I don't know if I can say what it is, but yeah, there is something going on with decoying, with the person in the commenting there. There's something going on. Yeah, there are
Okay.
collabs underway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody said that you're gonna collab. Jules and said that you and her were gonna collab.
Yeah. It's kind of like
Oh,
there's a kind of a creative way of decoying that thinking about.
okay.
That's gonna be what it is.
All right. Ryan and Lyric collab win.
Lyric? Oh wait, that's like is that like Rami's decoy or something? I think.
Weren't you on with her like at 3 o'clock in the morning or something on Instagram? I got the
Yeah, just I
notification
just I just saw it
outside of
live and
the.
I just like I don't know, I just wanted to say like one last thing about Rami
Um,
whatever to get out of my system. Then after I was like bored of it or whatever, like it got kind of boring or whatever, but then I just kind of wanted to have like one last like thing, you know. That's pretty much the goal. But yeah, also
Sweet.
like I kind of want to establish that like she was because she was like she was like working with Rami on Catches, so I was wondering like did Rami like how often did he follow up with detectives? How often like how involved was he with actually forwarding his information to law enforcement rather than just trying to kind of grow a channel.
Mm-hmm.
So, and at first, I mean, when Rami first started, he didn't seem like he actually seemed like he was pretty good. He had a lot of potential, but he just kind of degraded into kind of, where I think it's just kind of the direction is not to catch predators. It's not about the cause. But I did want to kind of ask someone in his who was working with them on catches, kind of like how often is he following up detectives? How often is he kind of cooperating with law enforcement to, make his information useful? So it's kind of like, yeah, so that's that.
Sweet. What is your favorite bird catching group's top three?
Oh man, that's really hard. I like so many of them. Yeah, literally, I don't know. I almost want to just like put like 10 up there as like a total tie, and then there's like 50 more. I don't know. Because like I feel like everyone kind of has like everyone that's doing the right way I almost don't want to compare them, but then they also bring they kind of bring their their unique skill to it. Um, I live in like someone is asking what part of the Berkshires am I in? I'm kind of near Pittsfield.
Huh?
Um, Pittsfield, just saying. But yeah, um,
Did you ever watch The Big
yeah,
Bang Theory? Did you ever watch The Big Bang Theory?
no.
Because somebody commented earlier that said you look like Sheldon Cooper. Man, I didn't even think about it, so they just mentioned it.
Yo, I think I know that. I think I could see that. Yeah, I think I know what that is. It's like, I mean, I haven't watched the show, but I kind of know about it, like face value. I think that, yeah, it's like that dude with like the mop head, whatever. I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking of another show. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Yeah,
It didn't even click until they commented. I was like, yeah, he does look like Sheldon Cooper.
yeah.
Terrible
That's the other
show, but
questions. Yeah,
that's to each their own. So you're not
yeah.
into movies, or you're not into movies or anything like that?
Yeah, I haven't like followed a TV show in like like 10 years pretty much. I just kind of like everyone's kind of on YouTube, or whatever. Um, you know, whatever. Like that's kind of how people like consume content, whatever. So yeah, pretty much. I don't know. Not really anything like yeah, nothing like too much like that. Uh, oh yeah,
Young
someone mentioned
Sheldon.
Dads Against Predators. Um, kind of want to say something about that because I know that I don't know too much about them, but I know that they kind of resulted in kind of like some violent encounters with predators, which I mean, at first I kind of would say like, oh, like yeah, they're just totally way off the mark. They're not supposed to be doing that. But I actually thought in the beginning they had a lot of potential, and they do. I do feel like they do kind of come from a genuine place, but I think
Hmm.
that they do need to kind of just evolve from what they're doing right now, to do this kind of be a part of like this uphill battle of it being taken in a serious way. But I don't have anything too much like against them from what I know. I know very little about them. I've heard kind of a lot of things. I don't know what to believe, so I don't want to like say that,
Hmm.
but yeah, just kind of reading questions.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see while we're wrapping things up. What's up, JDQ?
JDQ.
Yes, the JDQ, the one and
Oh yeah, the
only.
JDQ.
I'm the
Yeah,
JDQ. Um,
yeah. Talked to him before. Yeah, and I saw a call out Pit Patrol when he first started out. It seemed like he kind of has like a very kind of like inquisitive and kind of calm way of going about his interrogation from the start, kind of. So
mhm,
you know, um, there's like all kinds of groups where they kind of bring their own skill, but they're kind of committed to wanting to do it in the right way. And it seems like they're all these kind of like groups kind of in this sector, like they're kind of measured their metric of success. It's like when your metric of success is how much of a positive impact have you made on your community or any community that you're in, where you're actually either stopping a predator resulting in arrest, a conviction. If that's at least your metric, you're in the right place. But some people,
mhm,
it's like that's not even the metric. It's kind of like some people would be like, likes, views, and shares. But I would say at least if that's your metric, that's like a very important thing. But a lot of people are just, you know, they're kind of, beginning to kind of like work with law enforcement and everything, and they're just doing a good job. Oh,
I love
I knew
hearing
serial creep, I knew serial creep catchers. I watched them way early on years ago. They're very good.
creep catfish. Okay, I think I know. Is that with the woman, the female? I can't remember.
No, no,
Um,
no. The president's actual name is Ryan too.
okay.
His name is Ryan LaForge. I remember this crazy catch where he it was a 6 year old. It was a 6 year old, and that the predator was after, and he saw them
Mhm,
like talking like undercover like with the mic. Um, and I guess like he thought like the mother was gonna give up like the 6 year old or something like something crazy. Um, and you know um like then yeah, I mean it was kind of like a very uh it was kind of like a very escalated confrontation, but at the same time, I mean, it kind of I remember like watching that and then Anxiety War, and it was really like the first time where I first saw this kind of stuff. And it was like very
Mhm.
shocking how you can see this stuff go on. Like you say, is this real? Is this, it's like you kind of wonder if it's real or not when you kind of read the chat logs. And it kind of it kind of literally shows you the awareness that this stuff does happen, and it documents exactly how it happens from A to Z. And it's almost kind of like a field, because it started from wherever it started, the first people doing it, to kind of building on it as like, what is the right way of doing it, what's the wrong way of doing it, and then
Mhm.
kind of where it's at, where it's almost kind of like a network of kind of just a bunch of predator catchers kind of putting their heads together. And kind of, I think we're really close to making some like drastic change, to making us a part of something that could be beneficial to kind of the community and the problem, as opposed to kind of being perceived as like a distraction from a government. Like that's kind of like goal. But I remember they were kind of the people I watched early on. They're
So
very good.
they kind of inspired you to do this.
Um, I don't know if like, because I remember I even watched To Catch a Predator way on. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when that came out. I was
Mhm.
about 12. I don't know. Oh, do you remember when Catch a Predator came out?
I do. I was in college at the time when it came out. I watched
Yeah,
a little bit of it, but yeah, I watched the old school Chris Hansen stuff.
yeah. I remember the old days Catch a Predator or whatever. It was like very shocking when you saw like what they were there for and everything. And then yeah, I mean, I remember seeing like, I think the first people person I watched was Anxiety War, where he was kind of just he made it like he was I couldn't tell if he was like an undercover cop at first. I was kind of confused at first, but he was kind of just having like a kind of like a intellectual conversation with the predator, trying to just figure out like like he's kind of doing the interrogation, but he does it in a way where he does it where it's like kind of just a like, it's not like necessarily like a confrontation or whatever, but he's actually trying to gather as much information and then make it useful,
Hmm.
And I remember seeing that. I remember I saw that when I was actually in college. That was kind of, I guess it was like it kind of it kind of like you know uh made me aware of like how big the problem is. And then when I kind of started doing it, when I kind of went to my first catch, I saw like decoying really. You kind of see it like in real time how big of a problem it is. Like, when you actually interview a predator, when you actually decoy, and then, it's like if you go on your first catch, you'll want to be a part of, the second catch and third catch
Hmm.
because of how bad the problem is. And like any person, if they saw really how bad the problem is, they would want to do something about it, immediately.
So how would you suggest somebody um that wants to do it? How would you suggest that they do it? What steps would you have them take?
Um, I would say this. One, you have to kind of figure some things out, like how exactly are you going to decoy? But if you are decoying, you have to remember that you can't like set someone up like that. You have to make it so that, you know, they need to initiate contact. They need to take it to a sexual conversation. Now, I mean, in a perfect world, they wouldn't need to. They if even they even you the kid initiates contact, and the kid whatever, like no one else should be talking to kids. But to prove like the elements of the law, you want to make it so that the predator is kind of doing everything,
Hmm.
and that they initiate contact, they take it to a sexual nature, they want to meet, and then you're kind of, as your role as a decoy is pretty much to just talk back and like ask questions back, kind of. And I would recommend getting another decoy phone, because if and when your phones will be used for evidence by the police, you want to make sure they have as much time as possible to look through that evidence. So I would say get the decoy phone. I heard you can get a Family Dollar for $30, but mine's like kind of like, I think it's $80. Cheapest I can get. Just something enough to use apps, and you know, pretty much as far as your interviewing, as far as how I do it is, I kind of call this preliminary questions, where you want to make it as clear as possible and then document it, that they understand that they are here to talk to you on a voluntary basis. And then all you're doing, if anything, if there's any kind of like whatever, it's just you saying that you have an obligation to forward to law enforcement, and they can make the decision. If they leave, then you can just then you can kind of just tie a knot at the end. And it's just better to have them leave if they need to, and then pretty much as long as you're not like because I think if what I saw was like when they start to leave, sometimes they say like, "Yo, this person's here to meet a 14-year-old," and then right there the case could be hurt because there could be an argument that they
Mm-hmm.
were in some perceived danger, and then any kind of confession or whatever that you could get from that interaction could be an argument that it was coerced. Which, I mean, you know, it's debatable like between you and I, but like, just like how lawyers argue and everything, it's gonna be tricky then. So best thing to do is just if they do leave, they choose to leave after you're saying you do have an obligation to refer to law enforcement if you're they're not going to give you some kind of like honest explanation or anything like that. Would be to just kind of just document parting ways and just tie a knot, and pretty much you'll be good as long as you've identified them. And just kind of work with who you got. But the first kind of layer is the preliminary questions, which is making it seem like that they one that they have no disabilities, no or that would impede their ability to have a conversation with you. They're not under the influence. They don't have like schizophrenia or something that's making them like unable to do it. So you're asking that beforehand, where they'll want to talk to you. So they're gonna kind of tell you the truth. So
Mm-hmm.
because you're not like saying it's not like you kind of start right up front being like, you did this, and they'll be like, oh, I have this thing. You kind of get that all the way in the beginning. Try to get that away in the beginning. And even kind of say that if you need to have a relative pick you up, if you need an officer here, we'll just part ways and then that'll be it. Or if you do want to talk to us, um, you know, uh, just tell us if we're doing anything to make you feel unsafe or anything like that. Just tell us what it is, and we'll kind of respond to you. So it's those preliminary questions, making it so that it's just clear that the entire conversation, if it's going to be had, it's had on 100% of voluntary basis by them, and they're well equipped to do it. And then it gets to the preliminary questions, where after you establish that, you're kind of getting them to define certain terms and everything. Like that's why if anyone looked at the first catch, I asked them all kinds of questions. Like I kind of start with tell me about yourself. Then you're kind of getting basic background on who they are. Then the next layer is, you know, like how tech savvy are you? Average person wouldn't see that as like a threatening question, but then you're kind of getting into like kind of who they are, how much are they using electronic communication, how much are they using apps, internet, how much are they on the computer, how much are they, on these apps, and then you kind of have them define certain, terms like that's why I had Andrew in the catch define would you consider someone sending someone's private porn, like their own version of porn? So then you kind of
Mm-hmm.
connect that to being child porn within the law, and have an agreed basis on that. And then also have him define I had him define the term junk, and be like, yeah, it means your privates or whatever. So you're getting them then to define those things, and then you kind of want to give denial of voice, and you want to have them explain in their own words what happened, and then you kind of can just build this giant case where whatever they'll tell you, there's going to be, and they try to wiggle out of it, it's going to be really hard to. And, if they even try to, there's going to be discrepancies, things that won't add up. So I'm not afraid if they lie to me, because I'll be able to tell very easily, you'll be able to tell. Because, like, all you'll be able to do is, like, when something doesn't make sense, you can just say, like, like, I'm struggling with this, like, like, if you knew it was a setup, like, why would you, like, go to a setup, So you kind of go about it that way. But also, as far as like another predator catcher, try and do this, you know, um, try to don't be afraid to learn from predator catching, and then also learn from other people's experience, you know, and like I've had a lot of you know bad encounters, like I've actually like one of them actually led into a robbery, like predator
Mm-hmm.
actually robbed me before. Um, And the best thing to do is, let's say you have like a mess up. I kind of want to make it seem like it's almost like documenting like a plane crash, where they would they would document like the pilot's like mentality going in, everything that led possibly led up to it, where you can then make that information useful, so that someone else doesn't make that same doesn't fall into that same predicament, same problem. So if you make if like let's say you make a mistake or whatever, I've put a megaphone on it, put a megaphone on it, make a network of predator catchers, or kind of be in the network of predator catchers. Kind of learn from each other and make it so that you can kind of provide useful information to them, and you can kind of learn useful information from them. And vice versa. And
Sweet.
that's don't be afraid to learn from another group, or to kind of ask questions and everything like that. And also, if you ever have interaction with law enforcement, try to be just as accommodating as possible. Don't be like, I'm not going to show you my ID. I'm not going to, like, just like, I mean, because what you want to do is they're the first line of attack against these predators. They're the first line of people that are going to get your conviction. They're the people that are going to show up on the scene. So the best thing you want to do is when your first interaction with law enforcement, make it seem like make it seem like you don't make it seem like they're coming to like a fight or whatever. Make it seem like you're like seem like very calm, you know, about what you're doing, but kind of stern about what you're doing. And when they kind of start talking to you, they'll see that you're in a sound mind and everything.
Mm.
And you're not trying to like cause any trouble. You're just kind of doing a story, and that's pretty much what we do. And yeah, I mean, just kind of build a good relationship between law enforcement if you can. Just try to be overly accommodating, and even a lot of times they're going to say things that when they're first kind of coming on the scene, they're going to kind of look at you like you have five heads. When you first explain it. So just kind of be prepared for that, and
Yeah.
just yeah, it's like every time you go into a police station or whatever, you first explain it, they're gonna be like, yo, so what are you doing? Like they're gonna get kind of alarmed at the predator catcher, you know, for like what do you mean you're posing as a minor on the internet, all kinds of stuff like that. So it's kind of something to it's kind of a barrier to go through. So just try to not be too like offended by that. Take it as a grain of salt, but to just try as hard as you can to work with the law enforcement you're trying to work with, to just make your information useful, and try to get to maybe a detective precinct as best as possible. But then beyond that, a lot of times these law enforcement, in local and state level, are kind of booked in terms of resources. So the best thing you can possibly do is get them to cross state lines, which would then subject it to yeah, sorry, I'm kind of going on. So, but
Yeah, you're good,
yeah,
man. I
just
just
like one last
you're
thing,
good.
just like one last thing is if you
Yeah.
do get them to cross state lines, yeah, sorry, yeah, but if you get them to cross state lines, then you can invoke the FBI, because then it would then be a national issue, because it would then be uh, multiple crimes, multiple states. So then the FBI, they have tons of resources. So not only is it another crime, but if they happen to cross state lines, I kind of would recommend doing it on the kind of the border of states. You then can invoke the FBI, which have so much resources, and they're pretty much kind of obligated to take every tip seriously. And that's like it's just very going to be a very strong case if it's involving the federal government.
All right,
Yeah.
man. I appreciate you coming on. One very last question. What are you grateful for? While we're wrapping things up.
Um, I guess just like I don't know, just like being able to kind of grow from everything, kind of be able to learn, take everything, day by day, and just kind of learn from everything rather than letting it turn to a negative. I guess I don't know.
I like it, man. I like your mindset. I appreciate you for not giving up and still here, still doing what you do, man. I appreciate you for coming on, man. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later.
Yep. Do I hit an X or whatever? Oh, okay.
I'll go ahead and get you out.
All right.
Great job, Ryan. Appreciate you, buddy. Um, thank you guys for coming in. Thank you, Jules. Thank you, JDQ. Thank you, Ryan, PNN. You guys are awesome. I just want to wrap things up because I don't want to keep up too much of your time. Thank you guys for coming in once again. I want you guys to have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will talk to you later. Peace.